Hello, this is Ty Newell, and this is COVID status report number 6. And the message today is hope. As we look at the data, there is hope, but we have to keep the pressure on. We have to keep active in fighting the spread of COVID. As we look at the raw data, the US continues to scream out of control, increasing above 300,000 infections as of April 4th, and not from the raw data looking as if there's any slowing uh, to this trend. But as we look further into this, there is reason for hope, and we'll discuss that more. I want to mention this public service announcement from the Czech Republic, from Czechia. So if you look up Czech PSA and COVID masks, you'll find this young woman giving a very nice presentation on the importance of masks and how that has helped the Czech Republic keep in control of COVID. In the Czech Republic, they are currently at about 5,000 infections. And yes, they're smaller than the US, but they're larger than many of our states and doing much better than many of our states. And in comparison to many countries, they're in the same league as South Korea. So, what is the reason for that? Well, follow this public service announcement and you'll find out. When we look on the infections parameter, which to me is the only way to say get a quantitative feel for how far away we are from gaining control. When I look at the raw data and I look at the various overall plots, that doesn't quite tell me what do we have to do relative to, say, South Korea or now Italy to get into control of this. And seeing that we're somewhere around 5 to 6 in this infections parameter relative to a South Korea or an Italy now in the range of about 2, that's saying we have to do at least twice as well, if not 3 times better than we're currently doing in distancing ourselves, in isolating ourselves, and shutting down the ability of this virus to spread from person to person. So the hope today is that now, as we see this next set of data plotted for the US and for the UK, that we're starting to see a downward trend similar to what we've been seeing now for Spain and Iran. While the US and the UK still have a significant ways to go, the trend in the US is one that's showing that maybe every 3 days we can drop from 5 to 4, from 4 to 3, and 3 to 2, and then hopefully beyond that to snuff this out. Now, as of April 4th, we see that South Korea, Italy, and Spain are all tied for first place, hanging in at 2.6. Iran has continued to stair step down and is close behind with 2.8. And Germany has held steady and is right behind Iran with 2.9. Now, France, as we discussed, has some noise in their data, and hopefully that noise is working its way through. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I'm in hopes that they also are much lower than what this trend in the data has shown, and that they are in a similar league as Germany or on their way to that. So this plot, which is the predictive plot that I've made to show where we might end up if a week ago, when the US was showing an infections parameter of 7, if we didn't do anything to improve that we were on our way by the end of April to having 10, 12 million or more infections. And as you've heard, the dire predictions, the kind of nonchalant messages being put out to us that, well, maybe only 100,000, we think less than 200,000 fatalities will be occurring. That's not acceptable. We need to get this as low as we can. And there's no excuse because it's such a simple thing to do. Yes, the economy will need to come back, but if if we have this many fatalities, shame on us for not taking care of something that's in our own hands. What I've plotted on here, you'll see this new orange line, and this orange line shows a trend where we drop every 3 days from an infection parameter of 5, roughly about where we are right now, to a level of 4. And in another 3 days, get it down to 3. And another 3 days, get it down to 2. And then it's tough to get below 2, as we've seen with other countries, but it's doable and it's necessary. Over a course of another week, if we can get that down to 1.5, here's the great news. By following this trend, keeping on it, letting everyone you know the importance of it, we can maybe stop this thing at about 1.2 to 1.5 million infections. And the importance of that is that we can maybe keep fatalities below 20,000. Still a horrific number, still a number that I think is larger than any disaster, at least over the past 100 years, that the United States has faced, whether in battle or in natural disasters. A horrific number to occur over the span of just a few short weeks, but much, much better than the 100,000 to 200,000 that we're being told we should just sit tight and watch it move through. We have to take action. This is going to take a conscious effort on all of our parts. Don't gather, wear the mask, figure out how to designate somebody who's the main contact for going out for essential needs when you need it, and take it seriously that you could bump into anyone, whether they look sick or not, who can be carrying this infection and pass it on to you. So that's, to me, very positive. I can see a path that we're potentially on. And as we discussed before, I'm adding a new point every day. So we started down here and we kept following this path. And as we discussed, this path was already predetermined, that basically the incubation period of about 4 to 5 days with about 14 days of being sick, that there wasn't much we could do to change this. But now we're seeing some change start to happen around the country at various levels of seriousness. And if we keep lowering the infection parameter, we're going to follow this orange path rather than this disastrous red path that that should not be acceptable to any of us. On the statewide view, we continue to see New York hanging in with a level of about 4. And I hope we start seeing a trend downward, but they're at least getting to the range where they should be feeling some relief. And Washington hanging in, a little bit noisier data, but as we mentioned, with a state like Washington that has now gotten in control, similar to like the Czech Republic and South Korea, a matter of 100 or so infections from one day to another is a large difference in some of these parameters. But overall, their trend is one that's showing that they're staying on top of things and hopefully going to stay in control. Now, as we look at Georgia, I think because of the newness of their getting active and more serious about managing the spread of COVID, that we need some more data. I hope this is a trend over the past few days that's reliable, but I think we just need to watch a few more days to see if they are on their way to getting in control. And then Illinois, we have work to do here. We're too high. We need to avoid getting into the situation that New York has experienced and now New Jersey. And hopefully we're going to start seeing a trend, but right now we're just hanging in at about that 7 or 8 infection parameter level, and we don't want to be there. So let me end on this. As you are having difficulty perhaps being socially isolated, and for me, it's not a problem. People have been socially isolating from me for many years now. But let me recommend one of my favorite movies, Spaceballs. And in particular, let me mention one of my favorite characters, Barf, played by John Candy. That Barf was a Mog. And if you don't remember, a Mog is half man, half dog. He's his own best friend. So if you are looking for a little bit of humor, see if you can look up Spaceballs, enjoy it, use the mask, stay home. And thank you very much, those of you on the front lines taking care of us.